What up, stackers? Hope everyone's doing well today. This is the Philly Stacker, and today I'm going to be talking about Silver Shills and the market and the way I perceive it. So my investment strategy is based on the richest man in Babylon. And I believe that as we see a lot of civil unrest, politics going crazy, extremes, people embracing the warm embrace of collectivism, I believe the solution is our prosperity as a nation depends upon the personal financial prosperity of each of us as individuals. And if we're going to have a strong nation, we need strong individuals. And this nation has been built on individuals, not the collective. Let me go here. Now, this is the introduction, but the timeless law that is our personal behavior that creates or destroys lasting wealth. So what I see a problem is that a lot of people don't take personal responsibility for their wealth, their money. We use money every day. Money is such an important part of our life. Money is a store of our time and energy. How many hours at work? I like these capsules because I feel when I shut it tight that it's I encapsulated my time and my energy. How many hours of work did I have to put into this? And so when people lose a lot of money, they're losing a lot of their life. So what I see is a lot of people don't take personal responsibility for their money. They give that responsibility to someone else, and it often results in disaster. A lot of times I see is that someone will build a business, say a landscaping business. They'll landscape for 30 years, build a profitable business, save up a lot of money, and they're getting close to retirement, and they don't know what to do with the money. So they go to someone and they entrust their money to another individual to make it grow and to make it last, instead of taking that responsibility upon themselves. And what I see often happens is, like, you'll have a successful small business owner create wealth, and then when he tries to hold on to it, he gives it to a kid out of college that probably doesn't even have a bank account or has any real life world experience. He just has a degree. And I'm telling you, your life experience is worth way more than that degree. And that it's our responsibility to learn about money, to protect ourselves, and to grow it. A lot of people think that research is just going on YouTube watching a few videos about a subject. Do you ever think about the incentives that these people are pushing, that some of these YouTubers, they get paid to push a product? And even though a lot of their advice is true and on point, they always lead you to the product that they're selling. And this is where, you just have to take personal responsibility for your own decisions, and don't offshore them to another person. I had this comment I'll post up here I had from one of my last videos, and it upsets me, and it tears me up inside. And so apparently this woman entrusted her savings to her son, and the son may have seen some hype on the news or YouTube videos, seeing the price. There are many things we can learn from this post, and that's the first one. You must take personal responsibility for your own wealth. Second, don't believe the hype. I posted on Facebook when silver was in the 30s for friends and family to pay attention, to buy some. When it got to 46, I was like, the silver still has room to run, but it's kind of like your last chance. When it went over 50, I stopped telling people to buy silver. Family and friends are just, I didn't want to lead them down to a path where they got trapped. So I just completely stopped telling them to buy silver once we went over 50. When we got to 107, I posted on Facebook, hey, nothing goes up forever. This is a time to consider taking some profits, pulling back your initial investment. And then 4 days later, we had the big collapse. So I was very careful about how I told family members, because I don't want new people coming into silver to get discouraged or hate silver or have a bad experience because they don't understand it. And in reality, I'm the last person you should be listening to for financial advice, because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a degenerate Gen Xer rebuilding his life, clawing his way out of poverty. The successful traders of the past. I read their books, and I do a lot of reading on this. And one of the things that I follow, I talk about seasons, my silver tree and the seasons, harvest and everything. And this is my philosophy broken down on a chart. I like this chart because it's like a meme of my philosophy. And so if you see here, the beginning stage, smart money, when silver was in the 20s, this was the time to plant. What I see is a lot of people up here, this big line going up, this is harvest season. So a lot of people are planning in harvest time. They don't understand the seasons. So down here, when silver was in the 20s, you had the smart money buying it up. Now, one of my last videos, I talked about the Wyckoff method, Wyckoff traders. Well, they're like the institutional investors. Once they see the big whales accumulating, they go, something's going on. Let me see what's going on here. So they follow the whales. The institutional buyers start accumulating also. And then once they see, like, in this area is where we had the cup and handle. Once they see confirmation that the trend is intact and that we're going up, the institutional buyers buy in around here. And then when it gets up to about here, they start taking profits, and they're out. And they're out for a while. They're not coming back until they see another cup and handle. And then by the time they see the big whales and institutional buyers buying, the price starts going up. And then the public starts to get aware of what's going on in silver. And they start buying in up in here. And that's where these guys, the smart money, starts taking profits, which leads to a dip. And so I hate seeing Main Street getting duped by Wall Street. So from all my research and reading and everything, I come to the conclusion that this chart is a wise thing to follow. Now, people will tell you that we have a new paradigm. Things are different this time, And then we had the dip, and then we had our little relief rally. We went from like the low 70s up to the 90s. I thought it was going to go a little bit higher. I was preparing to sell a little bit more around 100, but we only hit 90. And so we're right in this little area right here on the chart, if it's correct. And so I'm bearish at this point right now. Looking at the silver chart, it looks like a blow off top to me. Now, the question is Is it a blow off top and we're done for another 15 years? Or is it like a blow off top in the first leg on a continuing bull market? So this could just be the first like dip in a bigger bull market. So that's what I'm trying to figure out now. Is it over, or is there a chance that it can continue? And if there is a chance that it can continue, we're going to still see, we're not getting over 100. We're still going to see lower prices, and we're going to go sideways for a while. I'm expecting another dip, another sell-off, and going sideways for a while could be 6 months, could be a year, could be 2 years, could be 3 years before we get enough momentum built up to go take that next leg up and blow past 150, go towards $200 silver. So, you know, the narrative on silver is correct, but I think people get the timing wrong. I'll leave Martin Armstrong's post up here, but I'm still bullish on silver long term, but I'm bearish short term right now. I believe that, you know, there is a real physical shortage. There is instability in the world markets. Currency is changing. The world is changing. We're going from unipolar to multipolar. So we have a lot of moving pieces going on. You know, we already have a major war in Ukraine, which from my perspective is, you know, draining a lot of money from the West and putting us in a vulnerable position. You know, we're adding to our debt. I see a future world war maybe on the horizon. You know, once you start having currency wars, then you have trading wars, and then trading wars turn into hot wars. So I see a bull case for silver moving forward, and not to mention that, you know, the future of tomorrow will demand a lot of silver with our, you know, EV batteries, military. Every country now, after witnessing what's going on in Ukraine, is rebuilding their military. Drones, you know, $100 drone is destroying a multi-million-dollar tank. So warfare has changed forever. So everyone's trying to retool, you know, their arsenal. So there's going to be a lot of demand for silver in that. Robots, the satellites, drones, like you name it, smartphones. So silver's in high demand. We have a deficit. War is on the horizon. So I'm very bullish on silver long term. But short term, you know, there's still a lot of fight in the COMEX. And, you know, let's see, what Wyckoff describes the they, them as the composite man, the smart money. So behind the scenes, you know, there's still a lot of fight in the composite man, you know, and so that leads to a narrative of, or a new paradigm of that things have changed. A lot of pushback I get for my philosophy is that China is buying silver and the spot price is like $20 above our spot price, and that there's arbitrage there, and the arbitrage will push the price, and the physical market will break the paper market. And today, like I look at China, so I'll put a post up here. We have one firm selling off. We also have this other guy. He's supposed to be the Hunt brother of China. He made his money buying gold on the way up billions, I might add, and now he took those billions and he's shorting silver. So the Chinese hunt brother, I now call him the Shanghai bear. So China's not going to save you, folks. And I look at the spot price in China today after the close. It's a few cents, maybe $1 more than the Western spot price. And also, arbitrage between China is not that easy. The Shanghai Metals Exchange only accepts 4.9 silver. So their 1,000-pound bars or 1,000-ounce bars, their industrial bars are made out of 4.9s fine. The West is 3.9s fine. All of our industrial bars are 3.9s fine. And so taking a 3.9s fine bar and trying to exchange it on the Shanghai exchange won't work. You have to refine it to 4.9s fine to be able to exchange on there. So there's problems with arbitrage. It costs a lot of money to put silver on a plane, fly it over to China. So you're not selling it on the Shanghai exchange, so who are you selling it to in China? You know what I mean? So I'm very weary of that narrative. People might laugh at my chart, and it served me well so far. I planted my seeds back when silver was 22. I stopped buying heavily or investing in silver when it hit 50. And I'm more concerned on where the floor is with silver. And I believe that, we're not going below 50. We might, for a short time, but I think the floor is around 50 somewhere. And so that's where I base my investment strategy on, is at silver at 50, not silver at $300. So that chart also told me, hey, it's harvest time. So I took some chips off the table. And the comments have been called stupid a lot, but the money that I was able to capture, I could reinvest that today, and I could turn that 20 ounces into 25 ounces. So I can't let fruit rot on the vine. I captured a lot of purchasing power so far, and I could be wrong. We could shoot up to $150 tomorrow, and I would be wrong. But the worst case scenario for me is when I'm wrong, I made 3 times my profit. I made my money back, and I still have a nice position in physical silver. I still have a nice bag. So, when I lose, I made 3 times my money. When other people lose, they've lost $30,000. Kind of get where I'm coming from. Now, concerning I just want to give a shout out first to Thousandaire Radio and what he is doing and the awareness that he's bringing to the community about just being careful about silver shills and their incentives, and that he wants to bring forth a community where we can get a common census of what's going on by listening to different opinions and perspectives. So I just want to applaud what Thousandaire Radio is doing. I get a lot out of his videos, and especially his lives. I enjoy listening to all the other stackers out there and getting ideas. When I first started stacking, I watched this channel. It's one of the bigger YouTube silver channels, bullion dealer pushers. I'm not sure how to word it, but it's one of the bigger silver channels. He does the charts and everything, so I was kind of drawn to that, but I've unsubscribed from that channel, and most channels like it because all they're doing is just selling you something. It almost seems like their dialogue revolves around just selling you something. Well, with the crash and everything, I've been trying to absorb as much information as I can. At work, I have a great opportunity. I can listen to podcasts for 8 hours while I'm working. So I consume a lot of information. So, I exhausted a lot of sources, and so I revisited his channel, and I wanted to see what his perspective of all this was. And right after the crash, he was telling everyone, "Oh, this is the best thing that ever happened. We have the opportunity to buy silver at $85. This is great." And so he was telling his followers, this is a great time to buy silver. What a wonderful opportunity right after they've been kicked in the nuts. I'm sorry, that crash, or that you could call it a dip, that was a kick in the balls as far as I'm concerned, and it wasn't a good thing. But anyway, this is the best thing, silver crashing is the best thing that ever happened. And he goes on to go, "Hey, look at the deals on SD bullion here. You can now grab this and that." And so I really want to puke in my mouth. I mean, just take the time to recognize, hey, this major event just happened in the silver market, Anyway, so I watched, I've been keeping an eye, and then I watched a video like just a day ago, and I was watching, he was bragging about how he shorted silver on that rip when we went from like the 70s to the 90s. He then shorted the silver, and he was showing and bragging how much profit he made. So he's telling his followers to buy silver, to go to SD bullion, take advantage of this historic movement in price, and at the same time he's shorting silver. So it just disgusts the hell out of me. So when silver did crash, his big argument was that the spread in China. Let's look at the spread in China. They're paying $20 more an ounce than we are here in America, and the Chinese will save us. We're gonna have, they're gonna buy this dip up. Same dip that he shorted, by the way. And so I was like, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Let me take this narrative and bounce it off my philosophy and see where we end up. Because I could be wrong. I have no idea. I don't profess that I know what's going to go on. But so I began investigating in China. And like I said, these big whales in China are selling off. As we look at the close of metals today, they're in China, they're paying pretty much the same spot price that we're paying here, and trading off of it. So that's why I'm just taking the time to let the dust settle until I can see clearly of what's going on and where we're headed. I'm still buying silver. I'm still like Snell stacking, but like I said, I'm a little more bearish these days. I'm still buying my quarters, my dimes, and if you've ever watched my videos, you know that I kind of consider my stack. I split my stack at $50. I have the old stack and the new stack. Well, the new stack I'm prepared to hold for another 10, 15 years. So I know what I'm getting myself into, that I might have to hold this for several years before it is profitable. So I know what I'm getting myself into there. Like I said, I'm bullish long term on silver, but I also believe that the COMEX and the powers that be, the composite man, is not done. They still have a few tricks up their sleeves, and so that's why I position myself to be very careful. I like my position in silver right now. If we go to 50, I'm pretty much, small profit break even point. And if we shoot up, I still got a nice bag of silver. So I've been in silver a few years. I'm well positioned. Even after the dip, I'm still way up. And if we dip farther, I'll be at the break-even point and probably still a little up. But with that being said, a lot of people just jumped into silver and they're way underwater. And like I said, we need a new world of silver stackers, a new generation of silver stackers, a new generation that learns about money. And I have hope. I started learning about money through Bitcoin, and Bitcoin led me to silver. I see a lot of new people, getting into silver and stuff, but one of the benefits of getting into Bitcoin, learning Bitcoin, is that you learn money and you learn about sound money. And, a lot of the silver stackers have knowledge of like sound money. And that's why you're doing well right now, because you have knowledge of what sound money is, what true value is. You understand fiat, how fiat works, and how it robs you through inflation, things of that nature. So we definitely need people to be more educated about money. And that's what I'm attempting to do here. I'm attempting to educate myself about money and become prosperous. I'm attempting to educate future members of my family about money, because we're not taught these things. And it's funny, I watched a video of a school teacher teaching a student how to critically think, and it went viral. Elon Musk posted it. The thing went viral and he was fired. And 40% of our kids can't read at grade level, and we're firing teachers teaching students how to critically think. And it makes me want to think they don't want you to critically think. They don't want you thinking. They want you to have someone else doing your thinking and investing for you. So it's up to the individual to take personal responsibility. And if you're going to be in these markets, educate yourselves. Take time, invest in reading books. I haven't put much preparation into this video. Time is short. I'm kind of just shooting off the cuff with all this. Remember, the media is owned by Wall Street. If they want to get an article written, they could just pay the newspaper to write their article. So I don't put a lot of trust in mainstream media. And once silver is on mainstream media and they're telling you to buy, that's when that's when a red alert signal goes up in my head. On YouTube, I watched, I saw a lot of silver posts in the recent couple weeks, people posting about silver, especially when it got over 100. I'd get 0 likes when I told people to buy silver at 22. But, I post a meme about silver, and now it gets, several likes, reposted, everything like that. So, when you start seeing a lot of silver memes on your Facebook feed, it might be time to sell. I'm real fascinated by the psychology of money, the psychology of markets. I find all this fascinating and a great learning experience, when I'm going through. And like I said, I'm just documenting how I'm feeling, how I'm viewing the markets as we go through this. I'm following these psychological charts, and I'm testing them. I'm seeing, hey, does this have merit? And so far, it's, led me to a great position, hasn't led me astray. And I'm just following that, and I'm rambling on now. So I'm just going to end this. I just want, just to send a warning out there. People, be careful. And go back on the influencers that you watch. Go back a few weeks, and were they telling you that silver's going to 300 and back the truck up at 100? Or were they telling you to be careful? You know, this is a great time to purge your feed. You know, you can go back and see what people were saying a few weeks ago, see what they're saying today. And if they're telling you two different things, you might want to consider, you know, unsubscribing,